This is Good Morning Mumbai with Hrishikesh.
Okay, I have to say this. I've just come out of watching the first episode of Side Hero and I've been in splits. Rohan Sippy, big fan of your work. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, and big fan of your station and your show as well.
I'm so happy you're here. And the lovely Gauahar Khan. Welcome back on. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. Mr. Roy Kapur.
Yes.
You know, the Hotel Milan guys were here. And my
Hotel
biggest
Milan?
grouse was that you didn't come along with them, yeah?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And then he said you were filming for something and this and that. So life is busy. As long as life is busy, then it's good.
Life is busy, yeah. I'm very busy being the side hero.
And Ridhima, welcome to the show. Wonderful to meet you.
Thank you for having us.
And Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Okay, my first question has to deal with the kind of content that is there on the platform. I mean, incidentally, I voiced the first show, which was the Siachen show, which was like a reality show. And I mean, aside from the fact that it had my voice on it, I thought it was a very interesting show. You never know how these things turn out till you actually see the first episode, because when you dub for it, you never know. And I thought it was really nice. So is the Originals platform going to be a mix of everything, a bit of everything, bit of reality, bit of fiction?
Yes,
Tell us about that.
Definitely. We're going to have a lot of different types of content on there. Of course, Side Hero really being the first mark of our original series. We chose to go with like a nice comedy show, and I think that it's worked very well. Next month, you'll be seeing that every month we'll be doing 1 to 2 shows at least over a span of different genres, whether it be like a thriller, a drama, an action, mythology, fantasy, sci-fi, everything. So watch this space.
Lovely. And Ali, you've already nailed the movie catalogue, isn't it? I mean, you can show off a little bit and flaunt it right now. How many titles are we talking about?
No, it's a small catalogue. I think about 11,000 films. No, just to be polite.
Wow.
And how many from the South would that be?
I think there's about half the catalogue, close, a little less than half is close to from the 4 South languages. No, because Eros has got a pedigree of being in the business for 40 years now. So it's only right that we're able to take this programming around the world. So just out of an interesting factoid to start you off, last month of August, we had viewers coming from 100 countries only. So I'm just saying that that's the kind of reach that we're already delivering for the platform. So, Kunal started asking me, it has already got 10 million views. Aise kaise hua? I said, bhai, koi to kaam kar. So yeah, it's exciting, right? I'm just saying we've been doing movies for the longest time, and now we wanted to kind of bring this cinematic experience, which the youth is so drastically underserved, with fantastic original content.
Great. So, Rohan, I mean, the classic story of the loser, the underdog.
Well, that's comedy,
Done your
right?
way.
From
That's
Charlie
comedy.
Chaplin onwards, we enjoyed that,
But there's just great writing on the first episode. I mean, part of the reason why I found it really interesting was that, of course, it's quirky. So, who's written it? Have you written it yourself? Yeah.
So the first episode actually was kind of, it was something that was playing in my mind, that I wanted to work with actors to write. So one of them is here, Kunal Roy Kapur. The other is the fantastic Gopal Dutt, who's in the show as well.
Wow.
So it really came a lot out of, because we knew the germ of the concept once we had boiled it. It was about an actor, but now finally it's got to be fun scenes. So then it was really a lot of Kunal, Gopal, me, another writer, Kautuk Srivastava, 4 of us jammed together on it. And then we found, luckily, Nipun Dharmadhikari has written the rest, of fine playwright whose reputation will be tarnished after they associate him with this. But he had worked with us on Nautanki Sala, really funny and very cutting, incisive wit he has. So it's just been a lot of fun working. And there's so much stuff. When you're in the business, you're laughing at stuff. You can't say it out loud. This was a chance for us to just say a lot of that stuff out loud, And when you're laughing at yourself, I think there's a lot of stress release in that,
Totally. I love the fact, Kunal, that even though the first, I'm not giving too much away when I say the premise is that you're actually filming for a bong film.
Yes.
Which has these serious bong actresses, Tilottama and Kokara, were anything but serious in that. But I like the fact that you've not made a caricature out of it. You could have easily set it in the Tamil film industry or in the bong film industry, but you've really kept it real.
Yeah. I mean, that honestly came out of just the writing and sitting together. A lot came out of Tilottama also. I think just the opening scene of the series was her improvising, really, and her just saying, let's work this, let's do something. So
but we had just called it. It was just almost like, I was going to ask you, just do a favor. There was what you read, that opening shot, which is whatever, 2-3 minutes long, was maybe half a page on paper.
Yeah.
And I just said, listen, if you're free for a day, that'd be just a treat for us to start a show which is set in the film industry. And she said, "Theek hai, but what if we do this?" And she took it there. So that's really, you take a concept and it's very collaborative, very back and forth to, okay, now can we, oh wow, we're taking it, and that's when it's really fun,
Yeah.
And it's the first time ever a woman has checked out your butt on screen. I noticed you checked out. check out
package.
more.
That's my
The
bad.
package.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I noticed her nicely checking out her butt when you in the end when
And
she's
let me
walking
also
off.
say that she was quite impressed. It's all fiction, you see. What you can get away with fiction.
God, you can do anything. You can look sexy. You can look wonderful. You're such a good actress, and you're not shying away from playing the mother of a 10-year-old.
No,
How much fun is that?
I love being an actor and everything that I can do, with that. I just had this wonderful opportunity to work with such great artists, writers, directors, a banner, and there's nothing that's not going to, let me do an actor's job to the way my heart desires. And yes, of course, I loved playing that little cute boy's mom, and I actually, honestly, I don't have any scenes with him. All scenes are with the dad.
This is why she did it, you see. See, you're the mother, you're a very dedicated mother. We never see the two of you together.
No, in one small scene we do, and that also is just like a passing. But yeah, I feel like shit. I'm such a bad mom. I have no connection with the child at all. But that's because I can't get enough time from this madcap over here in the series. But I loved playing Sarika. Absolutely a delight.
I love the art direction. I mean, the cafe looks really nice. Is it an actual
Doesn't
cafe or
it?
is it
Yeah.
created?
No, there's a set. We sometimes in the business you get lucky with timing. There was a new
Very
set
nice.
coming up that we managed to use, and then that wonderful crazy little house where he ends up. Oh, sorry, you've not seen that. That's
I've seen
episode
only
2
one
One.
where
Yeah.
there's a notice to get him evicted.
Yeah.
Because what's the film you produced?
Zat.
Zat.
The film is called Zat, excuse me. It's ZHAT, which is Zindagi Hamari.
Ask
aur
any
Tumhari.
Maharashtrian how it's pronounced.
So Ali and Ridhima, AB was here, Abhishek Bachchan was here a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling him that he's never done better than Bluff Master, maybe in Yuva or Guru, because the fact that Mani and Rohan handled him so well, and he completely agreed with me. He says that in his own books, these are some samples of his great work. The choice of collaborating with Rohan, was he always there? Was he easy to get on, to sign?
I think
Was he on
I'll
for
give
this?
that all to Rohan. It was all Rohan who managed to do all this, and AB, like every other talent that we've had in the show, had brought some really interesting, beautiful elements of spontaneity to it. So it was a pleasure to have him on board. But that one I definitely owe all to Rohan.
No, but it was. I think you let me leave the room, then they can tell you honestly. But I'm, you get older, you get more crotchety, more. But it's also the people let you be. Okay, he's like that. No, but it's fun. I think for Kunal, me, Gauahar, these guys, it's about the work. It's not about me. It's not about all that's going to be left behind is this work. Let's just put everything we can into it. That's all you can do at the end of the day is just give it everything. Make sure that you've exhausted yourself in that process. And so I'm maybe not even a really fun guy to be around on comedy because it's hard work. So I don't necessarily want to be laughing on set and joking around because I know you try to push yourself as much as you can because you're never going to get another chance. I find shooting very I mean, I love rehearsing, I love prep, all of that. That's great fun because you can think. But on set, there's just so much pressure, so much money, so much
So
time.
you're like a theatre kind of guy.
No. But he's saying
That's
all
episode
this.
3. That's episode 3. Is that of the
Theatre episode.
Oh, there is a
He's
theatre
saying
episode.
all this, but he's the calmest of the lot. I mean, on the set, you wouldn't know. Usually you see a director saying,
So he's full Shanti.
No, he's not Shanti. He knows exactly what needs to get done, but he'll do it in a way that he's just an actor's director. He knows what needs to get done because he's prepped so well beforehand. We've read and we've done all of that. And even if I have to tell you this, even if the actor's goofing up, like we're taking take after take, and the pressure on him is increasing, but he will remove it out on someone else, and he'll say, "The actor's trying to perform here," and I'll be like, "So he's so adorable. He's a delight to be on set with." So all that stress he's talking about, he doesn't throw it on anybody else.
These guys have history together, and I don't mean it in any other way. But you produced The President Is Coming, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And then, of course, Nautanki Sala happened.
Yeah.
So, were you guys friends before this whole acting, before being in the movies? Or?
No, we actually met on. I met Anubhav Pal first, the writer of President Is Coming, and he introduced me to Kunal, and so we actually met work-wise, but just ended up getting along. We both grew up in the same part of town, all of that. Unfortunately, both English medium people. All those
you
crushes,
South Bombay people.
all these crosses we bear.
And Pal, speaking of Pal, my God, I haven't seen Pal in forever. He has this straight-faced humor.
Right. He's been having a great time. He was at Edinburgh playing live every night at the festival.
What a scoundrel he is.
Yeah.
And he's also co-written some of the episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
He has.
Yeah, we had to have him.
Did you get him on the bong one? Because that's his...
But that we got Shaumik on. You saw Shaumik in the...
He's so good, Shauk's so good.
So here's this series which obviously evolves around his character, but the fact that Sid Roy Kapur and Aditya Roy Kapur are a subliminal part of the story, I don't know if they ever appear, so...
Well, their presence is there.
Their presence is always there.
It's felt.
I found that absolutely fascinating. So was that always there? Was that something you developed on the way when you were sitting with these guys?
Well, it was kind of there, it was there, but how it would come out in scenes, we were not fully sure. But what we actually realized after shooting the pilot is that putting too much of it would actually make it less accessible. Like you know who they are, but I don't want to presuppose that knowledge. Like Ali said, they're out in 100 countries. 90 of them may not know those little nuances of the
and
film
maybe
industry.
Because Sid is in the business side of things, lesser people will know him. People will know probably Aditya and him.
I finally find the comedy the more universal you can make it, the more relatable it'll be, rather than it's very clever because he's the brother, and let there be some little things of that which will make us feel we're really part of it. But it's much better if we don't presuppose those things and just use it more for like he being a black sheep kind of a thing is the more fun part of it. That in every family you can realize somebody or someone's angry with you or whatever, you've screwed. That's a funnier thing than thinking it's very specifically about a producer brother or an
sure.
brother.
I think the tricky part was balancing the fact that there are other people's emotions involved as well. because it's all very well for me to be playing myself in a series or a version of myself, but I'm dragging them into it as well. So that's where it gets a little sensitive. But I don't think this would have happened if I wasn't working with Rohan on it. Like I wouldn't have entrusted.
And you've also dragged Adnan Sami's male boobs into it. I wonder how he will. And Tanmay might react to it in better fashion. I don't know. Maybe the producers need to watch out as far as that. What really is working on OTT platforms? Because what happens is that in India, when something becomes a trend, it just goes overboard. I mean, I've had guys coming in here saying, "Well, we wanted to do podcasting. Why didn't you do these celebrity interviews?" I said, "But I already do that on the radio. I mean, why would I want to do the same thing on an OTT platform or wherever?" And they say, "No, वहाँ पे you can be free and आप गाली दे सकते हो." I said, "But fundamentally, वैसे देता नहीं हूँ." So I noticed that in the beginning it was all about being risque. Everybody was, at least in this one, I have to say, inside Hero, even if there are expletives used on a couple of occasions, it just sounds natural. It's like you and me talking. But then there was this whole thing of let's make risque content. Some of it seems to have settled down. Do you have adequate research in place, Ridhima, that tells you what kind of content people are consuming on OTT platforms?
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I think that's the problem, right? The minute you go to digital and OTT, people start talking about risque content and certain, whether it's drugs, sex and rock and roll or whatever it might be, that becomes like the explicit choice of people that want to produce for it. It's poetic for us actually putting comedy out there because we feel it's mass appeal. So we're trying to showcase also that there is interesting comedy, like cringe comedy you can do without necessarily having being risque about it. We did research, right? As I said, we've got so many films. There's enough amount of viewership data. We've got some 14 million subscribers on YouTube on our channel. We've got 10 million people on Facebook. We've done a lot of research in collecting that comedy is the most watched genre in the country. And I'm sure you already know that. So it's not rocket science to be able to figure that out. So we said we'll go the other angle, take comedy as a genre, something new that the youth haven't seen, and then produce it with smart people that can do a fantastic job of it rather than trying to unnecessarily go risque for the sake of it.
The kind of comedy that's working has also changed, Gauahar. And this is, I was having a conversation with Saurabh Pant, who's a comedian, and I was speaking to some of the AIB guys, and they were saying back in the day means 5 years ago, they would put out a video and they'd get like 2 million hits. And now, because of certain mobile networks who are literally giving it away for free, when you open YouTube and you see the ones that are trending, the ones with 20 and 21 million views, it could be, no disrespect to them, it could be just a guy who's gone to his neighbor's house in Meerut and getting a Raksha Bandhan thing tied. Correct. So, the fact that data is now absolutely free means that the kind of videos that are totally trending are different. Are you conscious of that as an actor when you sign a project? About how many people are going to watch it or this and that? Or are you just very concerned about your part and saying the rest will take care of it?
No, not really my part, but basically what team am I working with? What is it that we're going to collectively, put out there in the creative space? And that's my only concern. If it's going to add another, feather in my cap as an actor, as an overall project, that's all my concern is. Views and all of that, and considering that this is my first release on the web in terms of a series. Of course, I've done short films, but that's all my concern. That is working with good credential people who are going to bring the best out of me, and hopefully I can add something to the project.
Fair enough. So you're saying perhaps on social media, it's the equivalent of putting out an Instagram and not keeping on checking on how many views it has. You put out the content, and then it has its own life.
It definitely matters. It's not like it doesn't matter. The hits, the views, all of that matters. We're ecstatic that our trailer's got 10 million views, and we're like, yay, that's amazing in like 4-5 days. Of course it matters, and that. It's like saying Friday ko box office pe kitna kamaya, right? It's the same. It's that version of on the web. Okay, how many people are actually watching it? So yes, a little bit of that is required. It's not like you can't ignore it saying, "हाँ हमने तो बना दिया अभी देखो या ना देखो." नहीं, you have to do it all that you can do to promote it and make sure that people are going to watch it. And at the end of the day, if it's good part about the web is you can watch it over and over and over again, and it's longer. It's not like सिर्फ वो ही हफ्ते आप.
Yeah, it's great. Like I wanted to watch episode 1.
Yeah.
I was waiting for you guys to roll in, so I was here in this room and I just saw it, and that couldn't have happened any other way. So are more of your friends or actors going to walk on? Like it's wonderful to see Kokana, to see Tilottama. She's so good.
That's the thing. I mean,
my moment was she getting up.
From the bed.
I found my character.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was so much, and we're just fortunate we have a friend like Konkona who also trusts us enough with this kind of madness that, and Kunal and I were for some of the few people who've experienced firsthand, because in President is coming one of the few other comic roles she's done. So I put her, probably she's one of the finest comic actors I've worked with, period. I hope we can do more like that. And I think the best way to figure out if we can get more friends and all to come on is now that we've made season 1, we've got a few fun cameos in here already. But
you do? So there's more to come in the episode.
Of course there is. Picture abhi baki hai.
There are many.
Very nice.
I was excited to see Shakti ji on the hoardings.
Yeah, I saw him on the trailer. He's a legend.
Yeah, he's completely genuine legend. Say 700 odd films under his belt. I'm sure most of them are heroes. But
when Shraddha comes in here, I ask about him first. I just said, "Do you mind? It's my film release. Stree is my film." I'm like, "Dad, dude, you have no idea what a huge fan of your dad's I am."
Exactly.
Because you grew up on that 90s cinema, and it's him.
And I mean, Kunal and I used to spend time with him when we were prepping the scenes, but they would end up becoming life lessons for us. What all he's seen in this business, like from his FTII days to now 4.5 decades of just being there, and these are the real pillars of the industry. It's just a trip to be able to pay tribute to them.
So is he funny in real life?
Oh, he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
When we talk about craft,
I've actually never met him. I've never met him.
I haven't met him.
Fantastic.
Even you
haven't met him.
So he's really funny.
He's very funny.
No, and I remember we've had even technical conversations about comedy. Okay, how do you do double takes? How do you, things like that, which is just education for me as a director, actors.
As an actor,
It's just so much fun to work with. And because in a sense, this show is about saluting the guys who are not necessarily the only star in the spotlight. It's wonderful to have someone like him who came in and was ready to be a part of it.
You see Kader Khan and him and Govinda's comic timing.
Nothing beats
Oh my
that.
God.
Yeah.
Just the way they would just go about it. It's really effortless. I mean, you could argue with the scripts of those films, but you could never argue with their performance.
The timing, the timing.
I mean, you get him here and ask him to tell you the story of Ow. What he went through with the director K. Raghavendra Rao. It's over 100 takes.
So what does he do inside Hero? What does he do inside Hero?
He's actually one of my favorite characters in the show. He's essentially the spirit of Kunal or the conscience of Kunal. Right? He's the ghost of Kunal future or whatever you want to call it. He's trying to weigh in and put some sense into his head.
And the way he comes in the first time in the series is hilarious. Even I didn't know that, and I watched it that day and I was like, what? That's the way he pops up.
So what do we have now? So we've got, like I said, we had a reality show. You had Siachin. You've got these guys on, which is, a bit of comedy. Can you give us an insight into shows that you've got commissioning?
Something is coming next month. I feel like that's all I should really say. We'll be announcing it very soon. It's in the much darker space. Quite the contrast from Side Hero. So we'll be coming to you first and you'll know what it is soon.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to be as cryptic as possible.
Very cryptic.
No, I think Side Hero is a good way to launch. It's poetic because it's from the house of Bollywood, a show about Bollywood making fun of Bollywood. So it's kind of poetic for us.
But there's also some cricket content on the platform. I saw some RCB stuff.
So we've done an association with Royal Challengers Bangalore. So we've done, in fact, partnered with AIB only, and we got Tanmay and Khamba to basically do a bit with Virat and AB and these guys. It was called Behind the Stumps. So that was an interesting kind of a single episode we've done. So not cricket per se, but the funny side of cricket, kind of like a podcast. But that was just just a one-off. But essentially, a lot of the thing is focused largely in the space of entertainment.
But isn't horror there in the mix all of a sudden? Because not the Ramsey Brothers kind of horror, but the fact that, Stree has become such a hit. And, you see the funny side of horror. Thinking of that genre?
Horror is definitely in the mix.
Okay.
So you'll see something coming soon. And we want to make it interesting. Of course, as you said, not your typical horror that you must have seen, but like Stree has done, bring like an interesting twist to horror and see how we can kind of play around with that.
The reception to this finally might be horror. We'll have
Yeah.
a new kind of comedy
Side
horror, not horror
hero,
comedy.
horror comedy.
So all the episodes are up now. It's 12 episodes, isn't it? Side
Eight
Hero.
episodes.
It's 8 episodes and they're all up for binge watching.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not as though you're going to do a release every Monday or this and that. Some OTT platforms do that. So will that be a strategy in the future?
I think it's show to show, right? I think this one we felt like we didn't want to make the audience wait for no rhyme or reason. We felt that it was funny enough to kind of stack it up and let everybody kind of go through it all together. So you can actually like watch all episodes back to back. There might be certain pieces of content or certain genres we might think let's do a weekly release. So one of the advantages of the platform is be nimble. There's no set rule and regulation and let's try and figure out what works.
Are you the I want to wait every Monday for an episode or every Tuesday for an episode kind of guy, or would you just like to see it all together?
It's a mix of both, but I like what goes into the weekly show. What's really nice about it, which we've not done too much here, but that you can react to what's happening in the country. There's a way you can set up a writing room. You can almost feed off with the way the classic American network comedies have happened for decades. It's a really nice. It'd be a lot of fun. Where Kunal and I have talked about, it'd be so much fun to try and approach a show that way, where you come in every week. Okay, this is what the basic lineup is. But now let's juice it out and we shoot. It's almost again like theatre. You come in, do that week's thing, go on to the next. And in a country like India where there's so much crazy stuff happening, it'd be great to try it out. But I do love binging. But I will wait for a Veep or a Silicon Valley or those kind of comedies, which are the ones that are running on a TV or a cable channel first. But yeah, the thrillers and all you definitely want to get through faster. But I think comedies you have that leeway to go both ways with. So I'd love for someone to try it that way here too.
So come on, we know she's a hot mom. Tell me about your character. I believe you have a love interest. Is Arjun Kanungo?
Yes.
I didn't know he was any good, without a guitar. But turns out he can act.
He is very good, and he's also so excited about being part of this. He's like, it's my debut. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. Yes, he plays my current lover or boyfriend. He is my ex-husband. We are divorced in the show. Obviously, you've seen the first episode.
Yeah.
She is just a regular person who has come to terms with the fact that they're not together. She's moved on. She runs this cafe, and somehow Kunal just cannot stop coming to the cafe because
And
every
put
time
his hands on the cookies or whatever.
yeah, and every time he has an issue, he feels like he can come and talk to me about it. Sometimes I'm available. Sometimes I really don't want him around. And at most times she's irritated with him, but she kind of manages. She deals with him. And what happens later is something you'll have to watch.
But Arjun, I guess, is very easy to be jealous of him. So I think that was the primary reason behind.
Has Rohan given him a guitar and made him play a little bit?
Yeah, there's some fun of that. Because so we wanted to create to maximize Kunal's insecurity. So let's get someone younger, taller, hotter, in that
More
sense
talented.
and someone who's going to maybe be a big star in show business too. So like Kunal's like, really?
Yeah.
That's comedy, right? You push someone into as low a position as you can. So this was one way to do
No,
it.
because I don't know his acting abilities, but I remember the viral guys that sent him here for a track that he's done.
Okay.
A music album. Correct, with Momina. And he's actually quite an interesting guy.
Yeah,
his
he's-
mother's a shooter and he used to be a
Yeah.
shooting champion or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
He actually
Maybe you
turned out
could
to
build
be
that
just
into the
guy in
script.
So there's one bit in the first, I think it's the second episode. But anyway, there's a bit where his son is also raving about the qualities of
Okay.
Arjun's character. right?
Yeah.
So he does
What
this.
What
he
a
does.
bummer, man.
He does all this, and actually, you talk to him in life. Oh, yeah, I just put some solar panels on my roof, and I've done this.
He's
oh, yeah, I did that.
exactly like that.
So you say, "Achha, okay.
He speaks Japanese and all.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's
Tough to compete with.
Multi-talented. Yeah.
So do we have to test for him a lot? I mean, who told you that he can act? Or did he just...
He
pick up
told
he
me,
did.
and I mean, you can gauge enough when you sit in this. And we wanted this little bit of the showbiz persona also, especially Kunal playing himself. I didn't want it to be like an actor, and then you have someone lip syncing songs. So it was really fun to have. And again, like I said, we improvise. I said we can write around him. Once we find him, we will work with his quirks and whatever his strengths are, and make that the thing. So that was really the fun thing, which you can't imagine doing on a big budget Hindi film. You can't really say, okay, I'm going to really steer the ship around that. But I mean, and not that it had to be done in any any way other than make it more fun by using the attributes he had. We had maybe written it for a rapper first, but we made it this beautiful romantic singer who gets women's hearts.
That would have been interesting too.
Yeah.
Except that Zoya's got a whole film on rappers coming up.
But Arjun's character is actually inspired by him in the show. He's a fan of.
Like he's a fat boy.
He likes me.
Which drives Gauhar's character crazy. So, of all people only looking up at him.
And you have a fair amount of bare-bodied shots in the first episode, might I add.
That's one of my strengths. Yeah, that's definitely one of my. Haven't you seen my body?
It's on billboards across the city.
Correct. So, talk about the marketing and the spiel around it. I mean, there are so many ways you can promote stuff these days, man. I mean, are you using social media more than you're using outdoor? Because I noticed, for example, again, for the lack of any other example, Netflix seems to be using a lot of hoardings. So, there's a lot of outdoor. Is your approach going to be that? Or is your approach going to be, let's just do some subliminal messaging? So what's the marketing thing around it?
So the premise where we started this was, like with the show and the space and the talent we were working with, our kind of mother tagline was Isko Kaun Dekhega. I don't know if you've got that, right? So
Yeah, I got that.
so it kind of goes with what the show is all about, saying that, side hero Isko Kaun Dekhega. So that was the kind of whole thing we started with. The good thing is that we've used a combination of both, right? Because you're trying to target such a wider audience of people. We're trying to bring in, one of the jobs that we're trying to do is trying to bring in more people to kind of consume on the internet. So I think it's a combination of how we're able to get, there was a bunch of social stuff that we did, which was about Kunal actually coming out through posters of Bajirao Mastani and coming out through Krish, and you got Krish's poster, and then you got suddenly
He's carrying Taimur Ali
More
Khan.
exposure, more body exposure.
more body exposure. So we went with the classic rule that body exposure works. Good kind, bad kind, time will tell, but I'm just saying. So I think it's a little bit of hard working on social and digital also on one side, and kind of trying to tap into the more slightly older audiences, saying that guess what's available. So it's a combination of both. The luck and the advantage we have is we've got enough amount of legacy with the work that we've been doing, and large audiences already kind of consuming us, so it just becomes easier to seed some of the content through.
So, brother, this is obviously something which is really, really close to your heart.
Right.
How much do you think it's going to change people's perception of you as an actor? Are you think you've done your best yet? That's my question.
No, I don't think so. I mean, if
Damn,
if you
Rohan
feel
Sippy
that-
has not challenged you enough.
No, I just feel that if you feel that, then you just, it's difficult to get out of bed every morning. You just need to feel like you're just going to work every day. You're trying your best, and you always feel like your best is going to come. So I mean, hopefully we'll keep working. Maybe on this show we'll keep working together. We'll just try our best to put good content out there and good
Aren't we happy he's
entertainment
not
out
in charge of marketing?
Yeah. Well,
Just do your best and leave it out
yeah,
there.
this is not our best. Yeah, this is not. Yeah, it's good. It's okay.
He would just put Gauahar on in front if he was head of marketing. Uske through promote karo. But really, the fact that you've made an entire series on side heroes, I mean, some of the most memorable. I mean, your dad made all these films where the side heroes were like ledge. I mean, we're talking people like Samba, who are really side heroes. I mean,
Yeah, no, and like we talked about Kader Khan Sahab,
Yeah,
Shakti Ji.
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure their catalog is full of legendary performances. We all grew up on it, and I think all the heroes know that how much their performance relies on the fact the guys you're feeding off who are giving you that space to become that star. So it's a chance to have fun with that, looking at that perspective.
So, Gauahar, what's next? What can your fans expect after Side Hero?
Well,
Are you working on something interesting? I loved you in Begum Jaan, by the way.
Thank you.
I haven't met you post Begum Jaan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent. You're so good in that. Yeah.
Thank you, darling. Actually, the next release would be something that I have shot with Rohan sir again,
Oh,
which I shot before Side Hero. But good thing is Side Hero is releasing first.
what is that? Is that a movie? Is that a
No,
TV thing?
that's a web show again, but can't really reveal much about that. That's an international project getting adapted in India.
Wow.
And Rohan sir was my first time I worked with Rohan sir, and then this happened after that. So that's coming out next, and also I'm doing this dance project, which is again on the web, but can't really reveal much about that.
We shall have to have you back in the studio for that.
Very, very soon actually, because they'll release very.
Lovely. You love this format, man.
I'm addicted to. I mean, as an
Turns out you're doing more
Yeah.
and more and more. Yeah.
and working on a bunch more stuff because I just find it very exciting, both on a and the chance, if you do something that connects, you can do a lot of it, which is engage with an audience over a long time. You create characters like theirs that hopefully, audiences will connect to them. Otherwise in a film you have 90 minutes or 100 minutes to do that. But here potentially we have, hours and hours where we can really have fun with characters. That's the first thing. You can work with fun writers, and it's also, after so much time working, it's also relatively fun to take on a complex challenge because you're writing 4 films executing at the same time, 500 minutes or 300 minutes, whatever you're doing in one chunk, but you get much lower budget than that much to do the whole thing, but you still have to deliver a certain kind of quality, all of that. So it's really fun at this stage to be able to bring all the stuff you've learned from the technical side to the management, all of that, and finally just having fun on set and getting up in the morning excited to go to work with these guys.
How are you celebrating Diwali? What are Diwalis like in the Roy Kapur household?
Diwalis are basically holidays. So basically we just eat. That's the normal. I mean, we just meet and eat. Yeah.
What is the staple food that is there at such occasions?
We meet and we eat meat.
Nice. How are Diwalis in the Sippy household? Is there a bit of cards? Is there?
The profession is gambling enough. So, and this year we're going to wildlife safari while there's still animals out in the world. We want to go see a few of them. So Ranthambore would be, I think, hopefully a very lovely Diwali for us this year.
Lovely. So Gauahar, what are your Diwali plans? Nigar, you going out, visiting people?
Yeah, Nigar is actually my Diwali partner. We usually always, literally raiding everyone's houses for card nights. But Nigar won't be here this time because she's shifting her base to America very soon. So she's waiting on that. But yes, I enjoy my cards during Diwali.
Do you win enough? That's the most important thing.
Not lucky in love yet, so lucky in gambling.
Sweet. You remember your first home? What would it be, Kunal?
My first home?
Yeah.
My first home was in Walkeshwar.
Looking at the sea, overlooking the sea. Wow.
It was an old, dilapidated, the roof had to be kept up with bamboos and all of that. It was one of those old buildings. I was 1 year old and then we moved to where I grew up, which was in Kolaba in Kapur.
So this is a bungalow in Walkeshwar?
Don't make it seem we were subletting that bungalow. So we were leasing it from a leaser.
You're so embarrassed at any mention of wealth.
No, because you're saying we used to
So
live in
sweet.
a bungalow and all that stuff. It was a bungalow, yes.
I was born in a bungalow in Walkeshwar.
Yeah, and we used to share the kitchen with the neighbors because there was only one kitchen and one fridge for 2 families. Yeah.
Your first home?
My first home. I actually, to be honest, my first home, I remember it was a very, very, very tiny house. It was, I don't know, a few feet by a few feet when I was born and my dad was in the midst of jobs and stuff like that. So my first memory of a home, I think I was 2 years old, was that. But the first home that we bought was an apartment in Pune and we shifted right after that, like I was 2.5 or something like that. It was in a place called Pimpri. I don't know if you've heard.
Of course.
Yeah. So Pimpri in Pune. That was a beautiful
Pimpri Chinswad.
Yeah.
Yours?
Around that time, I think when I was born, it was on A Road in Churchgate. There's a place called Anand Niwas, but very shortly after that, my folks moved to Olympus Apartments and Altamount Road, and then just across from there is where I spent the next 10 years overlooking what is today Antilia. So right next door to
Behemoth that is Antilia.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you guys for rolling in. I shall now continue watching episode 2.
And please let us know what you think.
Of course I will. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you
Ridhima.
so much. Always
Thank you,
a pleasure
Kunal and
talking to
Gauahar,
you.
and thank you, Rohan.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.